the above-quoted scripture uses the verb took in the singular rather than in the plural. It is commonly suggested that Pul was the monarch's personal name and that he assumed the name Tiglath-Pileser, the name of an earlier and famous Assyrian king, upon ascending the throne. It appears that during the early part of his reign, Tiglath-Pileser III was occupied in hammering out stronger borders for the empire in the S.E., and then the menacing shadow of Assyria, however, soon loomed large over the lands of Syria and Palestine to the W. The Assyrian inscriptions prominently mention Azri-Adara Judah in connection with the campaign by Tiglath-Pileser III in Syria. Ancient Near Eastern Texts, pages 282, 283. This would seem to be a reference to King Azariah of Judah, more commonly known as Uzziah 829-778 BCE, but the matter is a debated one, because some hold that the small kingdom of Samael in Syria was on occasion also called Judah. The likelihood of such a pagan king having a name including the name of Jah, the abbreviated form of Jehovah, and living at the same time as the Judean king of the same name seems slight. However, the Bible does not mention Tiglath-Pileser III in connection with Azariah, and the Assyrian records are considerably mutilated. During the reign of King Menahem of Israel c. 790-781 BCE, Tiglath-Pileser III Pul advanced into Palestine, and Menahem sought the Assyrians' favor by paying him tribute to the amount of 1,000 talents of silver, $6,606.000 in current values. Temporarily appeased, Tiglath-Pileser withdrew his forces. 2 Kai 15. 19, 20. The Assyrian documents refer to Menahem, along with Rezin of Damascus and Hiram of Tyre, as tributary to Tiglath-Pileser. Subsequently, in the time of King Ahaz of Judah 761-746 BCE, King Pekah of Israel formed a confederation with King Rezin of Damascus and attacked Judah. 2 Kai 16. 5, 6. Issa 7. 1, 2. Though assured by the prophet Isaiah that within a short time the two conspiring kingdoms would be wiped off the scene, King Ahaz chose to send a bribe to Tiglath-Pileser to come to his rescue. 2 Kai 16. 7, 8. Issa 7. 7-16. 8. 9-13. An Assyrian inscription describes the tribute paid by Ahaz, or Ahaz of Judah, and other kings of that area as follows: gold, silver, tin, iron, antimony, linen garments with multicolored trimmings, garments of their native industries being made of dark purple wool. All kinds of costly objects, be they products of the sea or of the continent, the choice products of their regions, the treasures of their kings, horses, mules trained for the yoke. Ancient Near Eastern Texts, p. 282. The aggressive Assyrian responded to Ahaz's urging by invading Israel, capturing several northern cities, and overrunning the regions of Gilead, Galilee, and Naphtali, carrying many off into exile. 2 Kai 15. 29. 1 Ch 5. 6, 26. Damascus was attacked and fell to the Assyrian forces, and its king Rezin was slain. Here at Damascus, Tiglath-Pileser III received the visit of King Ahaz of Judah, coming either to express gratitude or submission to Assyria. 2 Kai 16. 9-12. Isaiah had been inspired o texto acute miritra longo, Tikva 1102. In ancient Assyrian records, Tiglath-Pileser III is assigned a reign of 18 years. Biblical references, however, seem to indicate that his kingship was of longer duration, inasmuch as references to him appear from the time of Menahem down to that of Hoshea. But the Hebrew scriptures do not set forth all the details needed for one to state positively that the Assyrian records are in error in this case. This is so for several reasons. There is some uncertainty regarding the manner in which the reigns of the Israelite kings are to be fitted into a chronological framework. It is also worth noting that the period prior to the time generally assigned for the start of Tiglath-Pileser's reign is one of relative obscurity as far as the ancient records are concerned, and is considered to have been a time of great decline for the Assyrians. Thus the French scholar, Georges Ezra, in his book Ancient Iraq, states that for 36 years, Assyria was practically paralyzed. As for Ashurnirari v. considered to have been the predecessor of Tiglath-Pileser III, the same author observes, he hardly dared leave his palace and was probably killed in a revolution which broke out in Kalu and put upon the throne his younger brother, Tiglath-Pileser III. 1964, p. 251. In view of this, it seems entirely possible that Tiglath-Pileser may have exercised the power of kingship for a longer period of time than commonly credited to him, even perhaps as a co-regent. At 2 Chronicles 28. 16 Ahaz is spoken of as sending to the kings of Assyria for them to help him. While the plural kings, occurring in the Hebrew Masoretic text, appears in the singular king in the Septuagint and in other ancient manuscripts, there are modern translations that favor the Hebrew plural. J.P. N.W. Some scholars view the plural here as merely indicating the sum of majesty and greatness ascribed to the one monarch Tiglath-Pileser III as the King of Kings. Yet attention is also called to the boastful claim of the Assyrian monarch recorded at Isaiah 10. 8. Are not my princes at the same time kings? It is thus possible that the reference to Pul the king of Assyria to Kai 15. 19 may also be applied in the sense of his being the ruler of an Assyrian province prior to becoming head of the entire empire. Upon his death Tiglath-Pileser III was succeeded by Shalmaneser V. More details might be known concerning this king were it not for the fact that a still later king, Esarhaddon, caused Tiglath-Pileser's inscriptions to be mutilated, a rare affront elsewhere unknown in Assyrian history. Tikva Hope. 1. Father-in-law of Huldah the prophetess. Son of Haraz. 2 Kai 22. 14 The name is spelled Tokath according to the Masoretic text at 2 Chronicles 34. 22. 2. Father of a certain Josiah who lived in the time of Ezra. As 10. 10, 11, 15. See Josiah. Tilgath-Pilneser. See Tiglath-Pileser III. Tilon. A son of Shimon in the tribe of Judah. 1 ch. 4. 20. Timaeus T. Middle.Measonid. Father of Bartimaeus the blind beggar healed by Jesus. Mr. 10. 46. Time S. See acceptable time. Appointed times of the nations. Calendar. Time indefinite. The Hebrew word olam carries the thought of indefinite or uncertain time. Lexicographer Gesenius defines it as meaning hidden time, that is obscure and long, of which the beginning or end is uncertain or indefinite. A Hebrew and English lexicon of the Old Testament, translated by E. Robinson, 1836, p. 746. Accordingly, expressions such as time indefinite ps 25. 6. Indefinitely lasting Hab 3. 6. Evol G6. 4. A long time ago, of long ago Jos 24. 2. PR 22. 28. 23. 10. And long-lasting EC 12. 5. Appropriately convey the thought of the original language term. The word lam is at times associated with that which is everlasting. 1 Kai 2. 45. FTN The prophet Isaiah wrote, Jehovah, the creator of the extremities of the earth, is a god. Textoi acute miritra longo, time of the amdelevno 3 together, and may be rendered age during, and forever age abiding and beyond ro, and time indefinite, even forever NW. Concerning the earth, the psalmist declared, it will not be made to tot at a time indefinite, or forever. PS 104. 5. The Hebrew term enizach can also denote everlastingness. Among the ways it may be rendered are forever Job 4. 20. 14. 20, perpetually Isra 57. 16, and always PS 9. 18. Sometimes ne-zach and o-middle.lam occur in parallel PS 49. 8, 9, or the terms ne-zach and ad appear together. Am 1. 11 All three words are found at Psalm 9. 5, 6. You have rebuked nations. Their name you have wiped out to time indefinitely o-middle.lam, even forever wa-middle.ed. O you enemy, your desolations have come to their perpetual o-middle.nezach finish. In the Christian Greek scriptures, the word ion may denote a time period of indefinite or indeterminate length, a period of remote, but not endless, time. For example, at Luke 1. 70 and Acts 3. 21 o-middle.on can be rendered of old time, in ancient times. Rs. NW, and often, however, the context suggests that I::on is to be understood to refer to a time period of undefined length, because of such period being endless in duration. Boo 1. 55. Joe 6. 50, 51. 12. 34. 1 Joe 2. 17. Similarly, the adjective I::o and I::os drawn from I::on can, as is evident from the context, signify both long-lasting. Row 16. 25. 2t1. 9. tit1. 2 and everlasting. Mount 18. 8. 19. 16. 29. Another Greek adjective, I::os, specifically means eternal or everlasting. Row 1. 20. Jude 6, NW, RS, at. For a further consideration of I::on, see age. Systems of things. Time of the end. An expression found 6 times in the book of Daniel. It refers to a time period marking the conclusion of a system of things and culminating in its destruction. The prophet Daniel was given a preview of events to occur in the distant future. Thereafter he was told, "And as for you, O Daniel, make secret the words and seal up the book, until the time of the end. Many will rove about, and the true knowledge will become abundant." Dar 12. 4. Concerning this text, commentator Thomas Scott, in the first half of the 19th century, observed, "The angel, by way of conclusion, intimated to Daniel, that this prophecy would remain obscure, and as a sealed book, of which little would be understood, till the time of the end." The fact has evidenced this to be the case. Immense difficulties have always been acknowledged in many of Daniel's prophecies, and they have been as words shut up even from believers in general. In these latter ages many have bestowed great pains, in searching into history, to illustrate those parts of these prophecies which are already accomplished, and by comparing them with other scriptures, to form some judgment of what yet remains to be fulfilled. And thus much light has been thrown on them. As they shall gradually be more and more accomplished, they will be better understood, and future generations will be far more surprised and instructed by them, than we are. Scott's explanatory notes, 1832. The lack of understanding concerning Daniel's prophecies in the early part of the 19th century indicated that this foretold time of the end was yet future, since those having insight, God's true servants, were to understand the prophecy in the time of the end. Dar 12. 9, 10. The expression time of the end is also used in association with particular developments in connection with human government. Daniel 11. 40 reads, "In the time of the end the king of the south will engage with the king of the north in a pushing, and against him the king of the north will storm with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships." Thereafter the prophecy discusses the actions of the king of the north and indicates that he will come to his end. Dar 11. 41-45. Thus the time of the end textoi acute miritra longo, timra 1104 time indefinite, or forever. PS 104. 5. Since the earth will continue to exist, it necessarily follows that time, as an earthly dimension or measurement, will not cease. While it is true that Revelation 10. The 6th of may be rendered there should be time no longer, the context indicates that this means no further grant of time. Thus, a specific or allotted period of time terminates. KJ Other translations, therefore, read, "There should be no more delay." At RS there will be no delay any longer. NW commenting on this text, A.T. Robertson observes, "This does not mean that chronos time will cease to exist, but only that there will be no more delay in the fulfillment of the 7th trumpet." Verse 7, in answer to the question, "How long?" 6. 10. Word Pictures in the New Testament, 1933, Volume 6, p. 372. Timnah. 1. Concubine of Esau's son Elipaz and mother of Amalek. GE 36. 10-12 in the genealogy at 1 Chronicles 1. 36, there are first enumerated 5 sons of Esau's son Eliphaz. Next are added, Timnah and Amalek. Professor C.F. Keel remarks on this. The addition of the two names Timnah and Amalek in the chronicle thus appears to be merely an abbreviation, which the author might well allow himself, as the posterity of Esau were known to his readers from Genesis. The name Timnah, too, by its form of feminine formation, must have guarded against the idea of some modern exegetes that Timnah was also a son of Eliphaz. Commentary on the Old Testament, 1973, Volume 3, 1 Chronicles, p. 53. Thus, Eliphaz's 6 sons were listed, but with the notation that one of them, Amalek, was of Eliphaz's concubine, Timnah. It must be remembered that Amalek became a nation that hated God's people and concerning whom Jehovah said, Jehovah will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Acts 17. 8-16. Thus the accounts, both in Genesis and in Chronicles, give this detail concerning the origin of Amalek. This Timnah is possibly the same as No. 2. A daughter of Seir the Horite, therefore sister of Lotan and Seir's other sons. GE 36. 20-22. 1ch1. 39 possibly identical with number 1. 3. The first name found in the list of 11 sheikhs of Esau, or Edom. GE 36. 40-43. 1ch1. 51-54. In the view of many translators, Timnah and the other names listed are personal names. As KJ, JB, NW, RS. However, it is generally acknowledged that the expression according to their families, according to their places, by their names indicates that a tribe or an area is meant. Some versions therefore prefer expressions such as the chief of Timnah. JP, in fact, at Genesis 36. 41, in the same list, a woman's name, Oholibamah, appears, allowing for the name Timnah to be that of a woman. Eusebius and Jerome identified Timnah with an Edomite site called Thamnah, which stood in their day. 1 Amastikon, 96, 24-27. However, the location of any such region named for Timnah is currently unknown. Timnah. 1. A location at the boundary of Judah and Dan. Jos 15. 1, 10. 19. 40-43. Some have identified it with a place preserving some similarity to the ancient name, Timnah, about 6 kilometers 3.5 MW of Beth Shemesh, but no archaeological remains earlier than Roman times have been found on the site. Many favor Tel El-Batash, about 7 kilometers 4.5 MW of Beth Shemesh, situated on the east bank of the torrent valley of Sorek. Samson selected a Philistine woman of Timnah for marriage when looking for an opportunity against the Philistines, who then ruled over Israel. En route to the city, he killed a lion bare-handed at the vineyards of Timnah. JG 14. 1-6. In the time of King Ahaz, the Philistines captured Timnah and its dependent towns. 2ch 28. 16-19. 2. A city in the mountainous region of Judah. Scholars identify this Timnah with Kbatetabana Horvat Tibnah, about 3 kilometers 2 MW of Gibeah el-Jabba. Jos 15. 20, 48, 57. Apparently, near this Timnah, Judah planned to shear Otex to Acute Miritra Longo. Timothy 11:05. Jan, but Timnah overlooks the coastal plain. Mount Gash, of Timnath Sirah Timnath. Here's Jos 24. 30. JG 2. 9. Cannot now be located definitely. Timnite of belonging to Timnah. A person of Timnah. In its only occurrence the term is applied to Samson's father-in-law. JG 15. 6. Time and Timonte, from a root meaning honor. One of the 7 men full of spirit and wisdom appointed by the apostles to care for the daily distribution in the infant Christian congregation. In spite of his Greek name, he was likely a Jew by birth. Acts 6. 1-6. Timothy Timo middle. Thy one who honors God. Son of a Jewess, Eunice, and a Greek father not named in the scriptures. While very young, Timothy was taught the holy writings by his mother and probably also by his grandmother Lois. Acts 16. 1. 2 T1. 5. 3. 15. It is not known precisely when Timothy embraced Christianity. However, perhaps late in 49 or early in 50 CE, when the Apostle Paul arrived at Lystra, apparently Timothy's home, in the course of his second missionary journey. The disciple Timothy, perhaps in his late teens or early 20s, was well reported on by the brothers in Lystra and Iconium. Acts 16. 2. It may have been at this time that, as a result of the operation of God's Spirit, certain prophecies or predictions were voiced concerning Timothy. After the Holy Spirit had in this way indicated the future of Timothy, the older men of the congregation joined the Apostle Paul in laying their hands upon Timothy, thereby setting him apart for a particular service in connection with the Christian congregation. 1 T1 18 4 14 2 T1 6 Compare 13 3. Paul chose Timothy as a traveling companion and, to avoid giving Jews an occasion for stumbling, circumcised him. Acts 16. 3. Travels with Paul. With Paul, Timothy shared in Christian activities in Philippi, Thessalonica, and Berea. Acts 16. 11. 17. 10. When opposition that was stirred up by fanatical Jews made it necessary for Paul to depart from Berea, the apostle left Silas and Timothy behind to care for the new group of believers there. Acts 17. 13-15. It appears that Paul thereafter sent word to Berea, advising Timothy to visit the brothers at Thessalonica, encouraging them to remain faithful despite tribulation. 1th 3. 1-3. See Athens. Paul's activity in Athens. Apparently rejoining Paul at Corinth, Timothy brought good news about the faithfulness and love of the Thessalonian Christians. Acts 18. 5. 1th 3. 6. In the letter Paul then sent to the Thessalonians, he included the names of Silvanus, Silas and Timothy in the salutation, as he also did in his second letter to them. 1th 1. 1. 2th 1. 1. During Paul's third missionary journey c. 52-56 CE, Timothy again traveled with the apostle. Compare 20. 4. While at Ephesus 1 Co 16. 8. Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthians, wrote, I am sending Timothy to you, as he is my beloved and faithful child in the Lord. And he will put you in mind of my methods in connection with Christ Jesus, just as I am teaching everywhere in every congregation. 1 Co 4. 17. Toward the close of this letter, though, Paul implied that Timothy might not get to Corinth. If Timothy arrives, see that he becomes free of fear among you, for he is performing the work of Jehovah, even as I am. 1 Co 16. 10. If Timothy did indeed visit Corinth, this must have been before he and Erastus left Ephesus for Macedonia, since Timothy and Paul were together in Macedonia when the second letter to the Corinthians, based on the report of Titus, not of Timothy, was written. Act 19. 22. 2 Co 1. 1. 2. 13. 7. 5-7. Perhaps Timothy's intended visit did not materialize. This is suggested by the fact that, in his second letter to the Corinthians, Paul makes no mention of Timothy's being there other than in association with himself. 2 Co 1. 19. Later, at the time Paul wrote to the Romans, apparently from Corinth, the home of Gaius, Timothy was o textoi acute miritra longo, Timothy, letters to 1106, furtherance of the good news. PHP 2. 20-22. And to Timothy he wrote,